back in October last year, I bumped into the Premier and I said, look, there's a way, a legal way to stay these prosecutions. That's illegal. Amnesty is probably not the right word. An amnesty implies you did it, you didn't do it, whatever stage of it, you're washed clean of your sins. Amnesty isn't the word. Pardon isn't the word. The legal technical term is to stay a prosecution. Now, I'm going to read you some of the letter I wrote. Now, I wrote it to Danielle. So I met with Danielle Smith, and she said, hey, give me your ideas on how to do it. So I'll just read some of this. You can see this from October. Marshall is the name of her chief of staff. Please thank the Premier for taking the time to speak with me. It's nice to see her again in her new role. Nice to meet you. I'll send you another note in a couple of days about blah, blah, blah. On the lockdown and pandemic prosecutions, I was heartened to see how well informed the Premier is on these matters. She clearly understands how important these issues are, both politically and morally. She really is on the right side of history, blah, blah, blah. The Premier was interested in information that I could provide her about the situation on the ground and mechanisms available to her to provide leadership on these issues. The purpose of this note is to provide the Premier with that information. So what follows is a slightly more technical version of what I say on my nightly show all the time. There are still an unknown number of tickets, charges, and contempt proceedings or related matters. I have good knowledge of some of the prosecutions, but other lawyers have files and, some trials have commenced. There are real issues about why they're proceeding. As the Premier says, they appear to have been politically motivated. Staying or withdrawing the charges would send a strong message in support of the rule of law. I'm only suggesting that prosecutions which have been politically motivated, targeting people who only sought to exercise their constitutional freedom of expression and religion, be stayed or discontinued. So let's just go down to, I'm not going to read all of it because it's a little bit legalistic. Jurisdiction. Almost all the prosecutions that I'm aware of are conducted by provincial prosecutors. They're under the Premier's jurisdiction. The Attorney General has the discretion on whether and how to prosecute. Here's a leading case on the matter. Significant, what is common to the various elements of prosecutorial discretion is that they involve the ultimate decisions as to whether prosecution should be brought, continued, or ceased, and what the prosecution ought to be for. Put differently, prosecutorial discretion refers to decision regarding the nature and extent of the prosecution and the Attorney General's participation in it. Decisions that do not go to the nature and extent of the prosecution, either decision that govern a Crown prosecutor's tactics and conduct before the court, blah, blah, blah. So you see I have footnote number 1 there. Scroll to the very bottom of this memo. I want to show you that case is from the Supreme Court. It was in a case called Krieger and the Law Society of Alberta, a 2002 case. SCC says it's a Supreme Court of Canada case. So I'm quoting the Supreme Court. I'm not making this stuff up. Okay, go right back up. Thanks very much. I just wanted to show my footnote there. This next paragraph is important. Specifically, the Attorney General can decide the nature and extent of the prosecution and the Attorney General's participation in it. And Crown prosecutors employed by Alberta Crown Prosecution Service have prosecutorial discretion to stay or withdraw proceedings, blah, blah, blah. It's usually done in open court. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. The basis for staying them, if there's no reasonable likelihood of conviction, and if it does not suit the public interest. There are clear legal issues with many of the cases, vague and confusing, as aptly noted by, and I quote others, other experts, Dr. Fluker. I'm not going to, this is a fairly dense legal memo. The Premier can, should she choose to, direct the Attorney General to review and withdraw or discontinue any cases arising from the Chief Medical Officer of Health Orders under the Public Health Act, or any pending charges. So I don't say that the Premier should tell the prosecution what to do. I say the Premier can direct the Attorney General to review and withdraw. The Premier could request that the review be undertaken with respect to each prosecution. Obviously, the Attorney General would take into account the Premier's view that without more, proceeding these prosecutions is not in the public interest. I would also encourage the Premier to note that beyond the lack of merit and political nature of these charges, the province has a shortage of prosecutors, court staff, and Superior Court judges. Can you imagine putting 44 prosecutors on this beat? In consultation with my lawyers, it appears the most direct and efficient way to direct the state proceedings is to make a written memo, and I get into the technicalities. Anyways, so thanks very much. You can read the whole thing. I've tweeted that. It's on our website. It's a technical memo, but it's really what I say and have been saying in public for about 2 years now, which is, I don't really use the word I use the word amnesty, lockdown amnesty, because it's a common parlance. People know what amnesty is. Stay of prosecution is a little more technical. That's actually what it is. And you can see my memo from October outlines it, and you can see, and I mentioned it twice there, that nowhere do I recommend the Premier talk to any prosecutors at all. I say talk to the Attorney General, have him review things with an eye to, are these good cases? That's what I say. If you don't believe me, read the memo for yourself. But go back to Judge Trussler's ruling, because I think she misquotes my memo. It's not a big deal. I mean, I don't care. But she says the only incident that is in any way close to what was reported was the email containing a letter sent by Ezra Levant criticizing the prosecutions and purporting to show why they were wrong and what to do about them. The communication was sent to the Premier's Chief of Staff, who forwarded it to the Chief of Staff of the Minister of Justice, Christopher Thrasher, for response. As the latter was within the jurisdiction of the Justice Ministry, the email was appropriately forwarded from one political staffer to another so that the second political staff member could deal with the matter. Mr. Thrasher provided the email letter to the Minister of Justice, Tyler Shandro, who in turn forwarded it to the Deputy Minister, Frank Basha. It was then sent to the Assistant Deputy Minister in charge of the Crown Prosecution Service, who did not forward it to any Crown prosecutor. She appropriately had a discussion about it with the Deputy Minister, and nothing further happened with the letter. So that's it. Can you scroll back up a little bit? Okay, can you search my name one more time? Because it's at a later point where she refers to my memo itself. Yeah, search it just one more time. So I'm fine with what she described there. But here she says, scroll back up one or to, yeah. Yeah, so she says on October 25th, Marshall Smith received the email directly from Ezra Levant, which surprisingly, from someone legally trained, that's me, advocated direct interference by the Premier by having her order a stay in prosecutions. I did not say that. I just read to you what I said. I didn't say that at all. I said that the Premier should direct the Justice Minister to review the cases, and the ones that do not meet the legal standards, the Justice Minister should stay them. I never said that the Premier should order a stay in the prosecutions. I defy you to find that. I think I'm going to write to the judge and point out that she's wrong. Not that anything turned on it. Like I say, this fake complaint by the CBC was thrown out by the judge. But it bothers me about this much, that the judge didn't read my memo. It was only like 5 pages.
That's a clip from something we call Rebel News Daily. It's our daily live stream hosted by my friend David Menzies, but the show also includes a rotating cast of hosts and special guests, including me. It's a great way for us to talk about the news of the day as the news is happening in an unscripted fashion, and it's an awesome way for you to interact with us as well. We stream every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Mountain, wherever you find Rebel News. See you there.